Hi, Joseph Lumpkin here with Fifth Estate Publishing. It's been a while since I've been on. We've had Christmas here, and that's always chaos, isn't it? So I wanted to look very quickly here at Acts 8:37. We have a lot of King James only in Alabama, and these people believe, right or wrong, that the King James is the only truly inspired and direct conduit from God to the people. However, there's a lot of things in the King James that when you look at the older witnesses aren't there. And so in the new translations, like the new Revised Standard Version and all of those, you find differences. And, people complain, oh, they're taking things out, they're taking things out. Well, they're leaving them out because they weren't in the older witnesses. The King James is made up of a bunch of codices that were written around 12 or 1300. And as we got back in time and found older and older and more reliable uh, witnesses, these things were corrected as we kind of drill down and try to purify and take out what was added, sift through the chaff and get the wheat, so to speak, that was originally put there for us. So Acts 8:37, that is, the apostle Philip is preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ to a eunuch, and they come across what it says, certain waters, and he says, what does it hinder me to be baptized? And Philip replies, well, nothing. If you believe with all your heart, you may be baptized. And then he answers, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And Philip then baptizes the eunuch, and in the ensuing verses, he's whisked away by the Spirit, and the eunuch goes about his business rejoicing. So that's basically the entirety of the story. In the New International Version, for example, 8:38 tells Philip stopping the chariot he's traveling in, and baptizes the eunuch without responding to the question. The verse was removed is in its entirety in some editions, and a footnote was added. So the Jehovah's Witness Bible, American Standard Version Bible, Revised Standard Version Bible, all of these remove this verse, and there's no real explanation there. It's just deleted. So having water to be baptized in, sprinkle, dunk, it's just all gone. The Amplified Version tries to make things better by expanding on the error, which is really kind of interesting because this is a way that error is compounded. So it says that you can be baptized and you and your family will be saved, and then the Amplified Version adds to it in brackets, if they also believe, so on and so forth. So we have an error left in because someone added it. The story has been added. If you take this story out, you find that the text flows much better. It's like it was just stuck in like a wart. It's an interesting story nonetheless, and dramatic when he baptizes the eunuch and then poof, he's gone. And but it's not in the original, or I should say the older witnesses. We don't have any of the originals. The older witnesses don't have it. But then what if someone 100 years from now the Bibles are wiped out and somebody finds a amplified version? They're going to have that error and then a compounded version of the error as the error is they try to explain the error. So that's kind of the way that things work. It's kind of interesting. And we have several of these. We have many verses that were just added in. For example, the doxology, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever, is added in to the versions as they go on. You go back far enough, it disappears. So that's why in a lot of Bibles, that last portion, which the Protestants love, and I am one, it's a beautiful verse. It's lofty, it soars, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever, amen. But it was added in, probably as a footnote. It occurs first in the Didache. Yeah, that is kind of like our first catechism. The Didache actually tells us what to believe and how to go about living our lives as Christians, and it was written in the time of the apostles or just thereafter. So it's a very, very interesting little snapshot of Christianity at that time. And it doesn't even mention the Trinity, of course. The Trinity wasn't even a thought back then, because Jesus at that particular time was thought to be the Messiah, but not divine, not one with God, not co-equal. That came afterwards. So we put things in. And then after we put things in, we actually read the scriptures as if it was in there from the very beginning. So we bias the scriptures based on errors or additions that have cropped up over time. For example, and I'll leave you with this, the end of Mark, we here in Alabama have the Sand Mountain snake handlers just up the road here. And every year somebody dies or is sent to the hospital because they've handled snakes and have gotten bit. But the very, very earliest endings of Mark end with the women discovering the resurrection and then running off and telling no one, because they didn't believe that people would believe them, and they were afraid of the condemnation. So they didn't tell anyone. It wasn't until sometime after that the last pieces were added to that, which tells us to heal the sick and raise the dead and go forth and preach the gospel to all the world. And if we drink poison, we won't be harmed. And if we pick up serpents, they won't hurt us. And all of these wonderful, wonderful things which are causing people to be harmed in Alabama here. And so if you believe it 100% and you're trying to practice what you see in the scriptures, and you're doing your best to prove that you have faith, and you're doing it off of scriptures that weren't in the original Bible, chaos can ensue, and it does. So we have to be really careful about what we think is there and not, and we have to really do our research to find out, actually, as best we can, what the original, what the oldest witnesses actually said, and then what was changed and why it was changed. A lot of times it's changed because simply a scribe had a footnote, and the footnote gets incorporated into the original, the text at the time that they're copying it. So if I made a footnote or a side note on the text, and someone comes along and reads that and incorporates my side note in the margins along with the text, sometimes things get added that way. And that's kind of interesting. There's all kinds of reasons that things get changed. A lot of times things get left out because people will skip a line while they're dictating the scriptures to the scribes. So there you go. That's it for the day. We'll try to get around to other things later. Thank you very much.